What's up, Trainiacs? Welcome to this week's Triathlon Newsday Tuesday. Today, 22 of the first finishers in a race got DQ'd, out. Athletes are getting paid in Bitcoin, and the results are in. Which companies dominated the Kona shoe count and the Kona bike count? So welcome, triathletes, to this week's Triathlon Newsday Tuesday, where every single Tuesday, as long as we're not training or in Kona, we go over the news that's happened in the triathlon world from the previous week. As always, full links to everything we talk about will be in the description below. Stick around to the end of the video where we are going to tell you about a giveaway that we are running with a new partner of ours, Super League Triathlon. And as always, we will share a story from the Trainiac community. So, starting off, Major League Triathlon, the new shorter course race series that's come out and travels all around North America with different teams and triathletes comprising these teams, kind of like pro sports teams. They have inked a deal to pay their athletes in Bitcoin. Now, being a former investment advisor, certified financial planner, why don't you just pay them in coffee mugs? And that, folks, is how you get the comment section of a YouTube channel to blow right up. Comment below with how much you love or hate Bitcoin. Now, the Sprint Asian Triathlon Cup, the first 22 finishers across the finish line ended up getting disqualified after taking a wrong turn on the run course. Hong Kong triathlete Sokar Coggins was in the lead at the time, and he ended up taking a turn that made the run course shorter by about 250 meters for all 22 athletes that were in the pack that was following him. Now, he ended up finishing a little bit back off the podium, but he was obviously talked about how this ended up happening, and he was very not subtle about blaming it on the race, saying that there was at most one pylon even in the vicinity of where they went off course, and this is to blame the race course director for not marking things well. Having been somebody who has ran off a course because it wasn't marked well previously, I was not too happy with that. In his case, where this is a matter of moving on, accumulating points for potentially his living, I feel for you, Coggins. Gotta suck. But race course directors will always say that it is up to you to know the course. It's not up to them to have it manned with volunteers and have zillions and zillions of pylons, so I see both angles. While we were in Kona, there was a new class of inductees to the Ironman Hall of Fame. One of the recipients was Aaron Baker, a two-time Kona champion, a one-time 1989 ITU champion, and a four-time runner-up in Kona. Scott Molina, one of the big four, the big dogs that raced in the 80s, very famously got inducted, as did Ken Baggs, who was responsible for holding the Ironman Australia and Ironman Cairns races, as well as Rocky Campbell, who is a 30-year volunteer veteran at Ironman Kona. Congratulations to everyone. Thank you for all of your races, your inspiration, and your hard work over the years. Decades. Barely been alive as long as you've been volunteering, Rocky. Wow. Oh, as they always do, every single year, Kona collects a ton of data on the athletes to help with the companies that need to market their services. They do a bike shoe count, they do a tri-bike count, they do a helmet count, they do a gear and components count, they do a power meter count. The two big ones that all companies are going after are the running shoe count and the bike count. The running shoe count for the second year in a row was dominated by Hoka One One with 17.7% of the vote, just slightly up from the year before. However, the big mover, this was huge, but the big mover from 2017, where they had 5.9% of the running shoe count up to 14.7% of the running shoe count, was Nike. Them coming out with their 4%, with their Pegasus lineup. I saw so many people wearing Nike that I did not see 4 or 5 years ago, and they are making huge waves. On the bike count, Cervelo is still the big dog, winning the count with roughly a little less than a quarter of the field riding Cervelo, but it's taken quite the hit from the year before. I think this has to do with them unceremoniously dropping some of their pros and not giving as much love to the triathlon industry as they have in previous years. The big movers, however, unexpectedly, Canyon, which is one of the most popular bikes that everyone wants to get their hands on. However, it's very hard to get their hands on one, and it's much harder just to get replacement parts. And our pals over at Ventum make sense because they're the official Ironman bike supplier out there, and it's not very hard to get their parts. I like you, Ventum. We all like you. Now, in results land, it was a fairly quiet week. Not a lot of pros racing out there, but we had Ironman Shanghai, which was a half Ironman, and this was won by Felipe Azevedo and Caroline Steffen. Fresh off his placing in Kona, Andy Potts won half Ironman Coquimbo, as did Lauren Goss on the women's side, and that was about it in the pro race ranks. Quick update on the podcast. We literally just seconds before coming in here, NTK and I did our annual Kona wrap-up, talking about some of the things that aren't really talked about commonly in just general media out there, but they're things that we picked up on and heard about throughout the week and in the week following Kona, so go check that out. And this coming week, we are going to be recording actually some podcasts with some of the age groupers, the final finishers in Kona. Marcus Cook, who lost, what was it? He was 500 pounds and now he's 240, and I think Elle Goodall is her name, and we are going to be talking to her. She lost 200 pounds, going from 405 down to very good looking, I want to say under 200, thereabouts. But these are very interesting, inspiring people that were Ironman ambassadors who we met in Kona, and we're going to have them on the podcast. Now, don't forget, just a bit, we're going to tell you about a giveaway, but for now, let's get into the Trainiac story, which starts off with, "Hey Taren, my name is Heather, and 2 years ago, the carelessness of one driver changed the trajectory of my life. Fortunately, I was able to walk away from the accident. However, my injuries quickly transformed my active lifestyle to a very painful, non-active one, and I gained over 25 pounds due to my inactivity. I've been a swimmer for most of my life, so I started my rehabilitation slowly in the pool last summer. Then I bought a bike and eventually added some light running. I didn't have a clue what I was doing. I had only competed in one triathlon ever, and that was 14 years ago in 2014 on an old 10-speed with clip-on aero bars. This spring, I bought a proper triathlon bike. My first sprint try was in June. My only goal was to finish and to do the whole run without walking. I accomplished that goal and then immediately picked apart my race, trying to find ways to improve. I competed in 3 more sprints, a few open water swim events, and some fun running races. At the age of 49, I found my new calling. One thing I've discovered amongst triathletes is the camaraderie. Triathletes cheer for their competitors during a race. What other sport does that? The adrenaline rush of completing a triathlon is addicting, but in my humble opinion, nothing compares to the feeling that camaraderie gives you. I became known in local triathlons this year as Pink Shoes because of my hot pink tri-bike shoes. During races, fellow athletes cheered, "Go Pink Shoes!" I love that, Pink Shoes. In every race, there's been a smile on my face at the beginning and at the end. The middle of the races are full of pain and determination, but while my pain from the accident still exists and is nearly unbearable at times, the words of encouragement from my friends, family, and fellow triathletes keep me going. I have a long way to go and plenty of room for improvement. I've registered for 2019's Half Ironman Traverse City as a relay with my daughter and brother, with the hope that I can encourage them both to become triathletes. Thank you from the bottom of my heart, Heather." Thank you, Heather. This was so nice. I love that. Go Pink Shoes. All right, as promised, without further delay, we have a giveaway that we are running with Super League Triathlon. There are 3 prizes totaling just under $2,000. The grand prize is a ticket to race in Super League Penticton, a $500 WestJet travel voucher to get you to Penticton, and a signed jersey from your choice of Jonathan Brownlee, Richard Murray, or Katie Zafiris. Second place is an entry into Super League Penticton and your choice of a jersey from Jonathan Brownlee, Richard Murray, or Katie Zafiris, and whichever one was not selected by the first place prize. And the third place winner will get their choice of the remaining jersey. They're going to only have one left to choose from. But that is what's going on with Super League. I'll be racing Super League Singapore in February, and then Super League Penticton with the lucky winner at the end of August. So there is a link in the description below to where you can enter that giveaway. Thanks to Super League for donating all of that to the Trainiacs, and hopefully one of you win and we can race side by side together in one of the hardest races that there is out there. You're gonna taste those copper pennies in the back of your throat. There we have it, Trainiacs. If you aren't already subscribed, hit that subscribe button below if you are subscribed, or if you're not subscribed, whatever it is, make sure you enter that giveaway below, and we will see you next week and tomorrow with all of our triathlon videos. Later, Trainiacs.